Down by two.
Down by two.
Down by two. Now they're out of timeouts.
Down by two. 1.3 left.
Down two. Gets a shot off.
Down by two.
Hello, hi, how are you? How ya been? It's another episode of the Down by Two podcast with yours truly, Joshua Elijah, and to my right, as always, Jesse McKay, also known as Birdman, also known as Stinky Binky, also known as Dr. Dude Little, also known as Mr. Sanchez. How you doing, baby? And a belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
My dude celebrated a little birthday.
Yeah, I did.
But unfortunately, you've just been a little bit of a sicky poo all week, haven't you?
Yeah. Currently battling a little cold.
A little cold there. We just
Bit of a mouth breather today.
We just hopped off the horn with Ben Holmes, who is from Sportsnet and Sportsnet Bets, and host of Ben's Best Bets as well. And just during the interview, you just like see like the snot just rolling down. Just
No,
like,
you can't.
Glistening
but you
in
can
the camera.
see me with my mouth open, just like.
Oh wait, what? Man, yeah, got to get you back into top shape here. And get you back to full health. But yeah, man, we're not going to take too much longer here with the intro, because we dive right into it, talk about the trade deadline, what that meant for the Blue Jays, and talk about some of their recent struggles and what the rest of the season kind of looks like as well. And you can find it all over on blah 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 blah. Find it all over. You know when your tongue and your mouth just stops working? Ooh, is that a limoncello? Is that or the La Croix limoncello?
It's a mango.
That's the mango.
A mungay.
The La Croix. I thought you were rocking with the limoncello. Man, limoncello is
the limoncello one is
the best fucking flavor, bro. They got so many good
ones.
One. It's
I'll crush a whole 8-pack in one day.
No, bro, just
even
wasted on the Croix.
I'm overhydrated.
The Croix got me feeling turned. But yeah, you can find all this and more over on Crier Media. Visit crier.co for all things DB2 and sports related content as well. Also check us out over at yupbeer.com. There are sponsors, yupbeer.com, to find a location near you, now available in beer stores across Ontario. I'm not sure if the Pills is out there yet. I know they were doing a soft launch on it, but the Yup Light, the light lager, is available everywhere. Like I mentioned, $42.95 for a case of beer. That ain't half bad, considering that most of the big brand beers are looking around $50 a case. So be sure to go visit.
Beer's expensive now.
It's expensive.
It's
not for nothing though, but we also shot a beer commercial for them, which is now available online. So go check out some of my directorial debut for a commercial. It was actually all the boys from I didn't have anything to do with the editing or the production or anything like that, and even the directing. I'm taking the thunder away from Silver Drop Media. They're the gods behind all this, and they're the masters at work. Shout out to our boys Tyler and Brandon over at Silver Drop Media for just making good shit again. And then not to mention as well, our newest sponsor that we have, Indestructible Clothing Company, Indestructible MFG Clothing Company. Visit Indestructible. Check out that QR code. Where do I got it? Right down somewhere around there. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for the help, bro. Go ahead, scan that barcode. Check them out online and use promo code down by 2, all one word, lowercase, for 15% off your next order. Do it. There's also some pretty big sales going on there. Pretty big sales.
Pretty nice sales.
Pretty nice. Yeah. Amazing clothing, great quality stuff. We're happy to rock it. It's good shit, and that's your very own brand there, Birdman. That you
can get this hat that I designed or I helped design.
Look at that.
Nice little dad bucket.
Love that head tarp. What is? We were chatting about your tarp. What is the tarp that you're wearing there? Because it's a Blue Jays shirt, but it's got a bear on it.
Yeah. So I got this. I w- I
You
went
probably
to
just used up all your energy to do that.
yeah, just smiling. I went to the Jays game on Saturday as a little birthday present from
Mhm.
my girlfriend,
Mhm.
and that was as we were talking about in the interview, that's the one where Manoa plunks what's his face
Taylor
literally in the
Ward.
face. Um,
Oh,
God, that was brutal.
yeah.
But yeah, this was the Grateful Dead T-shirt giveaway, and it came with your ticket. So normally they have
Oh, no
stuff to give
shit.
away for like the first 20,000 fans or something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you go early, like usually the bobbleheads and stuff like that. But this this one you purchased a specialty ticket and choose your size
Oh,
when you're buying the
damn.
ticket. So
Cool.
I had mentioned like before the season started that I wanted to go to this game because this
Yeah.
is a dude, this is a sick shirt. Like
That's a
as far
sick.
as like a
Yeah.
Jays giveaway thing goes, like
Oh,
it's
and they
got the
got the
little
patch on the
J on
side
there.
there too. Yeah,
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 it's got
yeah.
number on the back from I think when the band was founded as well. Um, but yeah,
Sick.
I just thought it was a cool collab. I like that it's like this nice blue tie dye, and yeah, it was a good game to go to as well. It was a little dead, and then they came back like
Yeah.
near the end of the game to take it. So
That Saturday game. Yeah.
good one to be at.
Dope. I'm actually waiting for our homie Ted, who I think went to the Chapman game and got the Chappie tarp. The
Right, that
ridiculous
was the day
tropical
after.
Chappie tarp. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm waiting for that one. So Ted, if you're listening to
that one
this, I
looked
haven't
cool.
forgotten when you drunkenly told me that I could have it. So um but man, that's sick. Yeah, no, we ended up having our boy Ben Holmes on the show. Our newest friend to the podcast. He was absolutely awesome to be able to have on. Very knowledgeable dude. Did a bunch of stuff for Sportsnet and Sportsnet Bets as well. And now doing his own takes as well with Ben's Best Bets. Looking forward to working with him on several different occasions as well. Have him back on the show for the football season that's coming up, basketball as well. And a bit of puck. So without further ado, let's just jump into it because we got a lot of good, juicy stuff in that episode. So here he is, Ben Holmes. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go, down by two. Another episode coming at you here. This next guest coming on the show. Been chatting with him for quite some time, and you know when you're just chatting to somebody online. I mean, maybe for the average listener, you just don't chat to randoms online, but that's kind of what I do. I just talk to strangers all the time online. But when you're chatting with someone and you already can kind of get a sense that you're like, yeah, this guy's going to be good shit. Can't wait to have him on the show. That's what we have right here. You might have seen him on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Bet as well. But we have Ben Holmes from Ben's Best Bets. Did I get that right?
No,
Ben's
you
Best
nailed it,
Bets.
bro. That's some
There it is.
alliteration right there.
Yeah.
That's some alliteration.
Ben Holmes from Ben's Best Bets on the show, buddy. How you doing, man? Great for you to be able to come on here. Happy to have you on, and really stoked to be able to chat a little bit of baseball with you, man.
I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It really is the
cheers,
dog
buddy.
days of summer, right? Like in a week or so, like we'll be right into football futures and everything, but we're still hanging on to
Yeah.
baseball now.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It's it's so tough, man. Especially just trying to survive the summer without baseball or without football. Me and a few of my buddies were starving for football so badly that we decided to find an XFL league online.
I
But
love
like,
that.
but like Yahoo doesn't have it, and like it's definitely not like on ESPN or whatever. So it's just like a fan generated platform,
No
just like
way.
alternative fantasy sports, and it's just the actual like dashboard just crashed all the time, so you never knew if your lineups are actually working or not. And it's the XFL. It's just like, is this person playing, is he active, or is he in jail? Like we don't really know. So and like that's like how low we stooped to, and then everyone's just like, but there's CFL, and we're like, that's fine. We're
We're pissing off so many CFL fans right now. They're like,
oh no, we don't
happening.
mean
There
to.
is football. There is
No,
football.
we don't mean to. Man, that's so bad because we're actually going to be doing some CFL coverage next week. But I mean, like, that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. We love our Argos. But man, I just XFL was just that was a real, I mean, high point or low point. I don't even know how to consider that as a gambler. But anyways, it was it's I'm really stoked to be able to have the NFL rapidly approaching here. But for the time being, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You've had some recently with Sportsnet and Sportsnet bets, and kind of tell us about a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and talk to us about that experience working with Sportsnet.
Yeah, totally. It's so funny because I can talk all day and all night, but when it comes to talking about myself, that's like the one thing I struggle with. But yeah, I actually
you're killing it. You're doing great.
I'm from the east coast of Canada, like right around Halifax. And
no way. Whereabouts in Scotia?
In Scotia, well, okay, you really want a backstory here? So I actually even further back, I grew up in England actually. So I didn't move to Canada until I was 14. Oh, wow. And then, but my love of North American sports just like instantly, like right away. So I grew up just outside of Halifax, just outside of this town called Truro, Nova Scotia. Shout out.
I know fucking Truro.
There you go.
I know Truro. What was it? What was the bar? I remember doing a show at a bar there. Was it Chevy's? I don't know. I forget the name of it, but it was gross. It was a gross bar.
I'm sure it was gross, bro. Like it doesn't matter what you said. It really didn't matter. And then I knew Toronto was for me. So in 2016, I came over and did a Centennial College's program of sports journalism, which was awesome. Had some amazing professors, and there's some people from that program that have gone on to do really, really well. Mm-hmm. Then during the pandemic, I actually moved to Australia before the pandemic for just beach, babe, surf. Like,
of course. Where did you go? I
was right in Melbourne. Had some friends, and then I also spent some time on the Sunshine Coast. So I got a bit of both because Melbourne was amazing, but it is very much just Toronto with better weather, hotter chicks, and
for sure
a goofy accent.
Accents, exactly.
A goofier accent.
Authentic beach time on the Sunshine Coast, which was awesome. But when I had to come back to Halifax during the pandemic, then I got a job at CTV. So that got me into news. Then I realized, I learned a lot of good production stuff there, but the hard cutting news isn't for me. So came on back, and then, like you said, hooked up with SM Bets. Always a great time with those dudes. And then recently they dialed that back a little bit, and now I'm putting everything into my own Ben's Best Bets page, and we're doing pretty well. I'm kind of finding the balance of giving out picks, but also having fun, making some dumb, goofy memes and stuff. But I am tracking the progress, and we're up like double-digit units in just baseball alone. So I'm doing that. So doing cool stuff again to talk to you guys.
See that.
That's awesome, man. And were you behind a lot of the memes on Sportsnet Bets? Because like that was a lot of your content creation.
It was, and there was some there's some creatives. I was a fan more of quality over quantity. Some people wanted more quantity, but a lot of them were me. I was kind of the basketball dude. It was kind of great. We all kind of settled into our roles. I know you talked to Pat as well. He was hockey games, give him to Pat. Those basketball games, we'll give them to Ben. Like we kind of figured out what everyone's strong suits were, and I think we all were behind at least a couple of memes that kind of took off and did well. But what I learned, man, and for everyone out there trying to make in this business, it's so random what gets caught up in like the algorithm. Like sometimes you make a killer meme and it gets to 200 views real quick and then just dies.
It just
stops.
And then you make one that's not even as funny, and then all of a sudden 10,000 views. So it's so random. It's barely to do with quality. It's all just like keep pushing away at it.
Bro, it's just like some of the stuff that we've spent so much time on, Bird, where it's just like, oh man, this is gonna be sick. It's fire, we're gonna hit collab post, something like that. And then it might break 1,000 or something. You're like, oh, and then it like teeters off a little bit there. But then we had like a promo post that went to like 14K, and you're like, what gives? Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
And, I just literally slapped that shit together.
Yeah. And it rarely goes into followers too, right? It's like you're like 14K views, 14 like we're gonna skyrocket in followers. Like that's not necessarily the case, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
No. I mean, if you can retain the followers, like from the people that come visit your page, that's a win. But like most of the time it's just so random, right? Like even with my job as a social media guy as well, like sometimes I'll put so much effort into a reel and it just bombs. But then I'll just take some like off the cuff, like shitty behind the scenes video and it just pops off. And it's like, why did that happen? It's like so annoying. But like it's just random, right?
It's so random, and you put all this time and effort into it, and you do all the things right. You pick some trending audio or what have you, and then like our stuff, the coverage that we did at the Indy, it's just like the stuff that we didn't put as much effort into got more traction than, you know, the reels that we put together and really like actually spent the time to make a quality reel, and it just ends up getting lost in the algorithm. I hear you're not supposed to call it the algorithm, it's your audience, or like the
Yes.
audience didn't find that to be as appealing as some other stuff, but it's just like, yeah, it's all bullshit.
But I don't know if that's true,
I
because
don't know.
maybe the audience maybe it didn't make it to the audience.
I
you
know.
Right.
But maybe you're right.
Do
Maybe
you-
the algorithm's taboo.
I mean, we're getting a little off topic here, but do you like,
Yeah.
but like, what are your thoughts on just like, is shadow banning even real? Like, why is it that some stuff that we post gets like all of the attention, but then if we tag like something randomly, it all of a sudden just gets shadow banned, it feels like.
All I can say is there's people that get paid a lot more than I do at Sportsnet whose job it is to figure that out. And as far as I can tell, like it didn't get figured out. So I'm not even gonna try
Yeah,
and
fair
go there
enough.
because I don't think
I don't know
doesn't
if
even
anyone's
know.
figured it out.
The one thing I will say, because we are kind of getting off topic a bit,
Nah, it's all good.
this is to become a sports bet. It's like, you know what you're saying about you take hours to find a bet and then produce stuff and give it to the audience. So I just tell myself, okay, the research and the time I'm putting into making the bets, I'm making all the bets myself too. So it's like, it is worth it because I'm getting something from it if I'm right.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, you're double downing on what you're putting out there as well. And you know, especially like we place all our bets here and we keep track of all of our stuff as well. We keep our receipts. So we know, you know, that we are bringing on people that have a bit of knowledge, like when it comes to yourself as well on the show. And that's why we're going to break down some bets and we actually place them and keep our receipts. And you can follow that on Betstamp, but we'll get into that in a bit as well. But yeah, Sportsnet, great working with Cabby, great working with the team. Obviously we had Pat on the show as well. And you guys, you know, band together and pick that team. You picked the Chargers to be able to cheer for the NFL. What was it like working with that crew and working alongside Cabby and them?
I mean, it really was kind of like a pinch yourself kind of thing. It was phenomenal. And
it's kind of the dream.
it really is. And it just talking about the luck of the algorithm, it's also, you know, pure luck in that respect too.
Yeah.
Not quite. I mean, you have to have some staying power with it, but I think everyone just kind of, it's all about finding your role. We all kind of found our role there. And listen, I was doing what I was doing for work. I did that for free anyway. I was staying at home. I was canceling plans to stay home and watch the Jays anyway. So if I had to make some tweets about it, make some memes about it, you know, great. Perfect.
All good. All good. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, I know that you guys all ended up picking the Chargers. Are you actually a Chargers fan yourself as well? Or
no, I'm a Jets fan, but so this is a big off season for us, but I'm very much a die easy Jets fan. You know, like I got a Raptors tattoo. I watch every Jays game because it's Toronto, it's Canada. I love it.
Of course.
I really just picked the Jets because of two reasons. I got into football, like I said, when I moved here, like Rex Ryan was a coach. I'm like, this guy, you know, that Hard Knocks clip where he's like, all right, now let's go get a fucking snack. And then he hits the button. So I'm like, this is my guy. Then also, I didn't want to pick a team that was too far away. Like being from the East Coast or even in Toronto, Ontario, it applies. People who are like, yeah, I'm a Seahawks fan. It's like, well, great. Now, if you want to see them live, you got to fly across the country. I wanted something geographically a little close. So
right.
I'm a Jets fan, but on Sundays, I'm Red Zone. I'm a fan of the Red Zone. I'm a fan of my fantasy team, and I'm a fan of whoever I bet on. I'll happily bet against or for the Jets. Whereas with the Raptors or the Jays, I tend to keep those out of my bets a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's great. And you're betting with your mind and not your heart as well. So that's really good. Is there a reason why you ended up? So was it just Rex Ryan for going with the Jets as opposed to the Giants, or like
it was one of those
because like man, you could have had it a lot better if you picked the Giants.
Well, you know, you're actually right, but you wanted to be. Don't forget, they made it to back-to-back AFC Championship games, so that's when I jumped on the bandwagon. You can't be a Patriots fan because then you're glory supporting, you're chasing the rings, right? It's just too cliche. But you also don't want to pick a garbage team either. Mark Sanchez just became the quarterback, so so we kind of thought that he was gonna. I got a Sanchez jersey. He was a handsome dude, you know, but like, this is the guy quarterback. So you're trying to pick that moment like a stock, right? You're trying to buy it just before it goes off. but I didn't hop ship. I'm gonna stay with them through and through.
Yeah. Well, you went down with the ship, and now it's slowly emerging again as well. So, I mean, like, you got to be excited for that, and we're definitely gonna have you back on to talk about football as well, talk about the Raptors as well. I mean, like, for me, it's gonna be a tough season for me. So, as a Rams fan over here, but that's why, like, I'm also
Not if you got the
aligned.
number 1 pick, baby. It won't be that
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. But, like, look, we got, I mean, like, I've also become a Detroit Lions fan as well. Geographically speaking, it's pretty fucking good too. So, I mean, I've been a fan of both teams since that trade sort of thing. I've wanted to see Goff go on and succeed, and he has been. So, there's going to be, we're
You also
gonna
have
have
a soft spot for the Bills as well, eh?
for the Bills, but, like, honestly, especially when we're talking geographically, you're either a Bills fan or a Lions fan, especially in and around London, Ontario, Toronto. You got to be able to pick your team. A lot more Bills in Toronto, I find, and especially as of recently with the bandwagoner fans jumping on with the Bills, which is fine. I don't know if the Lions. I just think, I'm trying to restore the roar a little bit more over here. So, I mean, just going down, they're definitely two blue collar teams, but something just feels different. It feels like the Lions have been waiting for longer to see some sort of success, and it's something that I can definitely get behind. So, definitely a lot to talk about when it
You
comes
can
to the
see
NFL
some
coming up.
big similarities between Dan Campbell and old school Rex Ryan, right? Just like a player's coach,
Right?
just like screw the analytics, like hardcore, like tough
Yeah.
nosed football coach. So I can see that, man. I can see it.
Hyping up a team to run through a fucking brick wall, man. It's like they're definitely cut from the same cloth, and that's something that I'm really stoked for. So, yeah, maybe we can win a division this year. Who knows? But we'll keep that off for the next couple months coming up here. Love to have you back on for that as well. But let's stick with our Blue Jays as the trade deadline has come and gone. The Jays definitely active, maybe not making a splash as much as Blue Jay fans wanted to see at the deadline. I always read in the forums and different chats that, the Jays are cheap and they didn't make the moves that they needed to. They don't spend. Everyone's expecting Teo to come back to the Jays, or for them to get some big hitter that can actually hit against lefties. But we ended up picking up, a few days before the deadline with Yoenis Cabrera, then went back to the well to pick up Jordan Hicks, and then followed by Paul DeYoung as well. So let's get your take on, starting off with Yoenis as well. For me, I'm actually a Cardinals fan as well. My dad liked the Cardinals. I grew up watching the Cardinals as well. Mark McGwire, obviously, like it's always just kind of been my secondary team as well. So to see the Cardinals having the shitty year that they are, and for the Blue Jays to go and just take their pickings from them, I was okay with that at the deadline. And, with one of my recent articles or pieces that I put out, I actually put out a list of different players that I wanted the Blue Jays to be able to target realistically, because you hear all these fans like, oh, I got to trade for fucking Shohei, and it's not going to happen. So I was like, let's come up with some realistic trade targets. Jordan Hicks was number one, and for a batter, I picked Paul DeYoung as well, and they were both, the Jays ended up trading for them. So it gave me a little bit of gratitude, or a little bit of a heat check as well, just sort of being like, I'm not a complete idiot, right? So I was like, I might know what I'm talking about here, but at the end of the day, I was just happy that they went after the players that I had circled. With that being said, what are your thoughts, even starting off with Yoenis Cabrera?
Well, I think you can never have too many good left-handed pitchers in the bullpen, right?
Yeah.
It definitely can't hurt. His ERA doesn't look that pretty coming in. But when you see him pitch in a Jays uniform, I think, he gave up some runs in 2 games ago. But apart from that, he's been pretty lights out. And we thought he'd be kind of a guy to come in maybe and just like eat some innings from the bullpen. But I can see him like step up to an actual like setup man role here. He's really kind of impressed me, to be quite honest with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, it was definitely a name that, the Jays fans didn't really see coming in, or nobody had it really pegged, but it was sort of a good way to set things up for what was to come with Jordan Hicks, which is one of the bigger relievers, one of the bigger names that was available at the deadline across the league. And the Blue Jays were able to hop on that, as soon as Jordan Romano hit the IL. Jordan Hicks, for me, I mean, like, he's a great pitcher. It's someone that I even have on my fantasy team right now, and I was happy to see him go over to the Jays. Can pitch the fucking lights out. Like, his fastball, what does it reach? 103, 104?
Yeah,
like,
nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Filth. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Could you see him actually just step in as our go-to closer? Is that some sort of chemistry that might be weird in the bullpen, or you see us maybe going by a closer by committee while Romano's out?
Well, I think while Romano's out, it's a different story. I haven't really put my head there because I am expecting it to be like a minimum stay for Romano, like in my head anyway. I saw him taking some doing some throws and stuff today. He obviously had that injury like niggling at him from the All-Star break, and sometimes you just need to take a full 15 off and just kind of chill. I think he could be that. I think of the 3 trades, the Jordan Hicks trade definitely is the most likely to be an impact trade where if we do make the postseason, he'll have a role to play. He throws, he does have a high whip. It's like 1.5. Like runners do get on base and it can be volatile and he is prone to being blown up now and again. I think when Romano comes back is definitely his job again. I think he's also like a fan favorite. When you're in the stadium, bro, and especially when the dome
goes nuts.
They can maintain when it all goes dark
all the
and
red
the
lights
red comes on. It is awesome.
It's
man.
So I think if we can get some good innings out of Hicks while Romano's gone, if he can pick up some saves, that's awesome. But I was really happy with how Garcia was pitching, right? He was pitching really well.
Yeah.
Man. I wonder how much the Romano impact had on the front office to go get Jordan Hicks. I think it's such a great insurance policy, right? I think Romano's the guy, but these back things, these are serious and they can linger.
Yeah, that
so
scares me.
To have someone with closer experience ready to go.
I'm not saying that he's going to take away the job from Romano. I'm wondering, like, going into the next stretch, because, like, man, 15-day IL, we all know that can take a while too. Like, it's not like it might be more than 15 days, especially if it's his back and you want to make sure that he's ready. And then I probably won't see them rushing him back unless they fall out of serious contention and the bullpen has issues. But with that being said, I definitely think that, I think that the Jays probably would have made that trade regardless, because they did need to bolster their bullpen a little bit, as well as most teams, that are competing should do that at the deadline. So I don't necessarily think that they wouldn't have passed up on it if it wasn't for Romano, but being able to have somebody that gets the nod late games, that has been in that situation with the Cardinals for this year, for the majority of this year. I think his stats don't lend well to him right now because he was having a pretty brutal start to the year. And, a lot of people were wondering if he was going to be DFA'd anyways. So, but he definitely turned things around. They threw him directly into that that closing spot. And I think maybe even at that point, the Cardinals wanted to maybe have Jordan Hicks' stock rise a little bit so that they might be able to use him at the deadline for something like that, whether or not they'd be buying or selling. So with that being said, I mean, I'm really big on Jordan Hicks. I love that move. And then kind of within the same sort of realm, we look at Paul DeJong. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it DeJong? I don't know.
No, DeJong.
And I guess, would the Blue Jays have gone for that shortstop if it wasn't for Bo going out? Or do you think they might have gone with maybe somebody like a Tommy Pham, maybe some sort of an outfielder, just a righty bat that would be able to hit against left-handed pitchers? What's your thoughts on going after Paul?
I think you nailed it. I think the Bo injury, I mean, just to look at the timing, I think it really was a major factor into getting DeJong, because we're trading for DeJong hoping for a best case scenario from him. I think he only had 1 homer in the whole of August, right? He had a great start to his career, and it's been kind of shaky since then. But the Cardinals, I'm going to accuse them of, even now with their talented outfielders, they like to move players in and out a lot. I don't know if that was if he was that affected his playing time, like not but with Bo out, he'll get a good run. He's a good defensive shortstop. And I
Very good defensive shortstop.
I'm glad he's on our squad. But I do think when Bo is back, he's going to be more of obviously a bench role and everything. But you look at the production, like, guys, Espinal made it to the All-Star game last year. And but that's a microcosm of the whole season, right? Like, you look at Varsho, you look at Kirk, like all these guys who we expected to contribute, they're not really giving us much of anything. Like Springer's celebrating getting a single yesterday because he like 8-9 games.
Yeah.
So the more pop we can have in the lineup, the better.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you see, like, floating around social media, like the Kevin Biggio apology forms, and I'm like, I'm not fucking signing that. He has a couple good games, and all of a sudden everyone's praising and shouting his name, and it's just like, I mean, I was talking to one of my buddies, and I'm like, I'm still pissed that he's on the roster here. I'm surprised that we wasn't
I know, right?
Shipped. So it's like there's a lot of players that the Blue Jays hold in high stock that have not been performing. And like with those three people, those three pitchers that or the two bullpen pitchers and Paul DeYoung as well, do you think that was enough at the deadline? What do you give the Blue Jays as a trade deadline grade?
I'm honestly going to give them an A- based on expectations because, like you just said, like what were they supposed to do? Our farm system isn't talented enough. Like we don't have a great prospect waiting to come on. That's being, there's so many organizations that have these great minor league prospects, but we have some veterans blocking the way. That's not the case for us. So we don't have much to offer because we're trying to compete now. So we can't give someone that we need now. And we don't have that many guys that can help in the future. So we can't acquire a Scherzer or a Verlander. I mean, so we did the best we could and we got the needs we had. Like Romano went down, we got Hicks. Bichette went down, we got DeYoung. We're just trying to keep our head above water. If anyone thinks we're going to win this division, obviously that's not going to happen. The Rays
so you heard it here first. Not happening.
The Orioles are too good. I mean, look at the series that just happened, right?
Yeah.
The Orioles are better. They're going to win the division. So all we need to do is get to the dance and kind of hope for the best. So we put ourselves in a position to still make it there. That's all you can ask for. So I'll give it an A-.
Yeah. Bird, would you agree
with
that?
Well said. Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. There's nothing really else to add to that.
Yeah, I would give it probably. I was going to say anywhere between a B+ to an A-. I mean, look, it's exactly what you mentioned. They are just trying to be able to tread lightly here. They're in a volatile position because everyone is like it's a close race there. I could see the Astros pulling away a little bit more. I mean, now with the acquisition of getting Verlander back, and then Scherzer as well going over to Texas, going to the Rangers as well. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be enough. I mean, like it will be enough to keep us in the race. I do think the Blue Jays will make the playoffs. I do think they will get one of those 3 wild card spots. It's just about who you're going to face. And it could be the Rays. It could be the Red Sox. It could be the Astros. We don't know. It's really tough to say. And I hope it's enough. Are you glad that the Jays didn't go for Teo, or need I say fucking Marcus Stroman?
I think I am. I honestly am, because those guys come with so much hype and there's so much nostalgia, but it wouldn't be fair to them because like them being the players, because Teo's having a rough season. Stroman actually was having a great season. He just got put on the injured list, and some people are kind of speculating it might be kind of a phantom injury just because he's had quite a few rough starts in a row. He might need that mental reset. The expectation of the fans in Toronto is already so high. When you bring back these guys, the expectation would be even higher, and that's only going to lead to disappointment. So I think the managers kind of did the fans a favor by not giving them that hope. You know what they say, hope is a dangerous thing. So
yeah, it's a good point.
I would, and I just with the way things ended with Stroman and our head office as well, it's just like I don't know why you would want to be able to invite that back. And most Jay fans are like, bring back the Stro Show. It's just like you're dumb. Like why would you want that, and to ruin some sort of chemistry? And same thing with Teo. We're just like they shipped him out for pitching, and like I don't think that they're going to bring him back because they were trying to head in a more serious direction. And he was all about the home run jacket. Him and Lourdes Gurriel, that's why they wanted a change in attitude when it came to the clubhouse, and I don't know why they would go and bring that back, and especially bring back players like that. So with that being said, I mean, I'm happy with what the Jays did. I definitely thought they made realistic moves. And if you're a Jays fan and you're pissed off with how things went at the deadline, I mean, we'll see in a couple weeks, though. I mean, we could like it all we want now. It hasn't been, the greatest since the trade deadline, but we're only a couple games in. There's just a couple more alarming things that we'd have to, worry about before whether or not we made the right decision at the deadline. One thing that's comforting, though, is that everyone else pretty much stayed pat. There wasn't a lot of movement at the deadline. There was looking like there's going to be a flurry of trades come 6:00 Eastern time. And really, does it shock you that the Red Sox or the Yankees and even the Orioles, like I thought the Orioles were going to make some big moves. Yeah. They ended up picking a Flaherty, and he, obviously had a great game today against the Jays as well. But are you surprised there wasn't much movement? Give us your thoughts on that.
I'm not surprised, just because I think everyone except the Yankees are pretty happy with where they are. And the price at the deadline, guys, like obviously take whatever you think a guy's worth and add 20-25% to it, right?
Yeah.
Because teams are desperate. The Yankees a little bit, but I think that they were just being realistic. They don't have really a roster to make a run right now outside of Aaron Judge, who just came back from injury, and he's even saying his toes still bothering him. So
Yeah.
you know, the Yankees fans, they're kind of like Jays fans, right? They always want to compete, but maybe the front office was just being realistic with that.
Exactly.
I think once Verlander and Scherzer were gone, everything else in terms of impact trades were kind of minor. So I wasn't too surprised.
But we were chatting a little bit before the show, and just even with some of the content that we were putting out, and you're surprised that the Angels were buyers at the deadline and ended up picking up like the Lucas Giolito, CJ Cron, our boy Randy Grichuk as well. What are they doing? Are you thinking that they're going to be contenders in the wild card?
No, like I didn't say I'm right by saying I'm not surprised. Personally, I don't see it with the Angels. If I was them, I would have tried to get everything I could for Shohei because his value is so high. He's going to be a free agent. You don't know if he's going to resign with you. But if you're in the Angels front office, your hands are kind of tied. You don't want to be the GM that traded away Shohei. So personally, from my couch, I definitely think they should have taken every prospect or everyone they could for Shohei and just nailed it in. With Mike Trout still out injured and everything. We look at Giolito, guys. Giolito just got absolutely lit up in his last start.
Buddy, so, I took the Braves on the spread for that midday game yesterday, that early game. It was fucking money in the bank. It was.
They had to do it to kind of appease their fans, but I think they're going to look back on the season and been like, that was probably a mistake.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's I mean that's just the Angels front office for you, man. They're just they are brutal.
I'm the same with the Cubs too with Bellinger. Like if Bellinger was able to be moved, that would have been huge. And this is the worst thing that can happen. And I think this happened a few years ago with the Jays too, where just before the trade deadline, you're probably going to be sellers. Oh, and then maybe you win 8 out of 10 games or 10 out of 13, and you trick yourself into thinking they have a shot here. When really teams should be more realistic.
Exactly. Well, being realistic, then, what are your thoughts? What can you put, like wrap it up into a bow here for us when it comes to the Jays with the next 2 months ahead of us as we're grinding it down? Dog days of summer. We're pushing for a wild card spot. First place, taking the division isn't realistic. What are your thoughts? Are you optimistic? Are you concerned? Tell us.
I don't know why I do this, but I'm the biggest critic of my teams. Like, I'm a bit concerned, although I look at the odds and I just checked, and the Jays are still minus 285 to make the playoffs. So it's still pretty overwhelming that they're going to make it. I think the bats have to turn it around. We've been waiting long enough, right? Every single Jays player is underperforming pretty much. I can't think of a single one in terms of the offensive lineup. You know, like it said, Varsho, Kirk, Vladdy, Bosie exception, but Springer, you know, I'm just hoping
Vladdy's a big one.
They turn it around, right? That they turn it around. And if they do, then we'll be in no sweat. And if not, we'll really be grinding it out all the way until the end. Because there's some teams like the Mariners I like that are going to be coming on from the outside looking in too. It's going to be a tie finish of the wild card race. It doesn't help that we're in the hardest division in all of sports. The AL East is the hardest division.
And that final stretch too is crazy.
Yeah.
All the series against our division, like that's going to decide a lot, right?
Exactly.
It's insane. And like, it's just talking about that now, and we'll be able to segue into our betting segment here. DB2 bets. We just dropped 3 of 4 against the Orioles. And now we're heading into a weekend series against the Red Sox, who are only 2 games behind us right now. I think this is a completely pivotal series that could completely change the landscape of the wild card race. And really, I feel like if the Jays didn't make those trades at the deadline, I mean, they couldn't afford to stand pat like some of these other teams. So that being said, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's a matter of, if these bats can actually wake up and they can start hitting, because that was our main issue against the Orioles. I mean, there's a lot of issues. I mean, just watching the game today, like too many runners that are left on base. It's something that needs to turn around. Will it turn around? I feel pessimistic a little bit about it, because like if it hasn't happened at this point, like what are we waiting for? What is just going to click out of nowhere? I mean, they showed promise of having some good offense throughout the portions of the year, but now going into the last 2 months, if it hasn't clicked yet, like I don't know what we're waiting for here. So, I mean, as a Jays fan, I'm a little nervous, and I don't know what to expect for the rest of the season. Bird,
Well,
are you
I
with me?
think
Or?
what I'm hearing is Jays to not make the playoffs at plus 215 is a great emotional hedge, right? You kind of win either way. If you play.
Yeah. True. I mean, that was what I
Yeah.
did today when I took the Orioles on the money line. It was plus 140. I'm like, why wouldn't the Orioles win? It seems like whenever Gosman's on the mound, they can't give him any sort of run support, and that's exactly what it was today. And it's like I'm tired of just betting on the Jays and having them lose because it's a homer pick. Like it just didn't make sense to me. And then you take Jack Flaherty on the over for strikeouts, and then it's a win-win. You hedge your bets with your emotions, I guess, in that sense. And with that, I mean, Bert, are you with me, or is that am I
Well, I was
just being
gonna
too much of a
say,
Debbie
like,
Downer here?
no. At some point, you have to look at the sample size and say, well, like, what's a big enough sample size? Is like over half a season good enough? Like, you know what I mean? Like, like you said, is it just gonna click out of nowhere? And especially, like I said, with the last few, what is it, like
Not saying that it
4
couldn't happen,
series of the year
but
is all against our own division. Like, and what were we just talking about before the show?
well,
Or against the Red Sox? Like,
let's
I mean, yeah, I'll wait for it, but like, man, it does not look good. So you got to hope for like to gain a little bit of ground until then, at least, you know.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna double down on this too with with just hedging our bets with our emotions here and not taking the homer pick, and that will just bleed right into DB2 bets here, where we use the BetStamp app to find the best odds out there across all the different sports books. So make sure you follow us on BetStamp to make sure that we are sticking to our bets and keeping us accountable by checking our receipts. As soon as I mentioned that, I'm like with all the chirping that we get online sometimes, it's just like, it was like, hey, like we actually have a pretty good record. And then we went 0 for 3 last week. So it's like, I shouldn't have fucking said anything.
You just-
It was brutal. But yeah, we're jumping into DB2 bets here. And I'm going to start us off here with my pick as I'm going to take the Red Sox on the money line tomorrow, minus 144. And that was available over on Pinnacle. Look, we got Paxton against Manoah. Manoah has been looking decent. I mean, aside from almost killing Taylor Ward last year.
Oh,
Like,
I was at that game.
yeah. Oh,
That
dude,
was
you
not
must have
good.
heard a pin drop when that happened. Like it was,
Dude, it was nuts.
yeesh.
It's silent.
Prayers up for T Ward. But yeah, it's
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, like he's been okay since coming back. Definitely showing signs of improvement. But they're facing Paxton, or Paxton's taking the mound for the Red Sox as well. And he has less innings pitched, but more strikeouts than Manoah. So it's like, and his record also reflects that as well. So I'm gonna take the Red Sox on the money line. We just looked it up. I'm like, there's no way that like the Jays can't be like. We weren't sure what the season series was, but it is actually 0-7. The Jays have not beat the Red Sox yet this year. I did not actually I thought that they might have squeaked out one game, but no, they're 0-7. So I'm not about to start betting on the Blue Jays until they can show me that their bats wake up a little bit. Generally speaking, they do bat pretty well in Fenway. So, I mean, not saying that they won't be able to put up runs, but it's also a matter of whether or not the bullpen will be able to hold that down. So, yeah, I'm just gonna take the Red Sox on the money line. Am I a bad guy for taking them?
Not at all. I think you're really smart. In fact, you just triggered my memory. That was the game that we scored 20 plus runs, and Tapia had the inside the park home run last year.
Yeah.
That was a good game to watch. I'm surprised the odds aren't even great towards the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox James Paxton has been tremendous this season, and just bet against Manoah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've kept going back to the well and getting punished every time I bet on Manoah beginning of the season. I laid off anytime he started, and then now I've transitioned to betting the opposite team. So I mean, going into Fenway, I mean, like, look, if they're going to come off a tough series, and this is a 4-game series, right? They went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then now they're heading to Boston. They didn't particularly play well against Baltimore, and a red hot Boston team as well that has been surging. I mean, I don't like it for the Blue Jays. I mean, hopefully they can turn it around within the weekend and hopefully at least take 1 or 2. But I'm more afraid of another potential sweep. I don't know. It's just, it hasn't. I feel a little uneasy, after giving them all their glory at the trade deadline. Like, well, it's amazing, but also they've been spooking me. So I am not going with the Blue Jays. I'm going to stick with the Red Sox here. Money line minus 144. Best odds that we found on BetStamp were over at Pinnacle. Always great sports book to be able to bet with. Now, Benny boy, you got a couple picks for us here. We're going to start off with your Houston Astros pick. We're going to go with the Astros on the run line. Talk to me about it. Tell me why we're going to put our money down on that.
Well, I mean, I could have given you money line, right? But I just think it's going to be a beatdown. Like, take the plus money. The Yankees have Luis Severino going for them. And after his last start on Sunday Night Baseball, where talk about the Orioles, right? They absolutely destroyed Severino. He's been having an atrocious season. He's not missing really any bats. He shouldn't even be making the start. If they had other options to go to, they probably would go to other options. I don't see how the Astros don't just get on him early, put up a ton of runs. And the Yankees offense has been pretty anemic, even with Judge back. So I'm all over the Astros in this one. They just got Verlander back. They're feeling it. You know, they're going to make a run. It's go time for the Astros. They're going up. The Yankees are going down. It's just, you know, anything can happen in baseball, but the Astros really should dominate and win this one.
I mean, they're currently. I mean, the Yankees are up 3-2 right now. That can go either way. I mean, I trust the Astros pen as well. And then you have Hunter Brown that's pitching tomorrow, 7-7. Like you were saying, he's like, it is what it is, sort of thing. But Luis Severino is the difference in that too. So definitely look for the Astros to run away with this one. Even just looking at BetStamp and looking at all the different odds available over here. I mean, you can even take them on the money line at -133 as well. That's available on Betano. So even good value when it comes to that. But I like the run line on that as well. We're going -1.5 available on DraftKings at +120 is available there as well. Finally, we're going to end things off with your Mariners pick. Talk to me about the Mariners. And like they mentioned, they did not end up going and dealing Teo. They moved around a bit at the deadline. They got rid of their closer, Paul Sewald, sending them over to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then giving that up to some of their younger pitchers that they have in the bullpen as well. So they were a little bit busy. It almost looked like they were going to be sellers, but they're actually on an upward trajectory, and that's why you took them on the money line. Tell me about it.
Well, I think they would have been sellers for the right price. Like Teo's, I think he's only batting in the 230s right now. He's not even giving them that much anyway. I think if you took him out of their lineup, it wouldn't affect their win-loss total that much. They still have Anthony Munoz in the bullpen. He's more talented in terms of raw stuff than Sewald is. So I think they moved him knowing that they could elevate him into the closer position pretty comfortably. They're only 3 games back of the wild card. They're still in it to win it. They just played the Red Sox in a series. They took that series, I believe. I think that they're going to be kind of sneaky, making a push. Before the season, I made a bet for the Mariners to win the division at like +320. It looks really foolish now, but there was optimism around this Mariners team. And
big time.
Really good players, right? So I just think the Mariners can pull it out. And like I said, Shohei can't do it all for the Angels. I just don't really rate this Angels team that much. Shohei's pitching tonight. You never know. He's had some injury issues as well. So I just think the Mariners money line, a plus money value is great odds. I don't think, if it was -125 or something, I'm not saying, it's a lock by any means, but you got to look for value in betting, and to get it plus money, I'm all over it.
Absolutely.
One more thing. I think Luis Castillo is lined up.
Luis Castillo, baby. Yep. I mean, that's someone I have on my fantasy as well. He's starting against Detmers.
Okay for the Angels, but he misses a lot of bats, but he's prone to being blown up as well.
Well, I mean, as long as the Mariners bats can't wake up, I mean, like I've seen a lot of no decisions go towards Castillo as well this year with, the bats falling asleep for the Mariners. So, I mean, if they can at least get a few off of Detmers, then I definitely think that, they stand a pretty good chance being able to beat them on their home field as well. So, we're going to go with the Seattle Mariners. I do like that. I'm not going to disagree with it. I'm going to take it, actually. I'm going to put that money on the money line +105, and that's available on the score bet. You know how much we love the score bet. A lot of great incentives for going up with the score bet as well. One more time, Ben Holmes, thank you so much for jumping on the show. I cannot wait to have you back. It was an absolute delight having you on. Let us know, is there anything else that's coming up recently? Anything that's on the docket that we need to be looking out for?
I'm actually going to be launching a podcast of my own. Actually, it's going to be called Crystal Ballin', and it's all about futures bets. It's all about finding value in futures bets.
Damn.
I like that.
We'll have to have you boys on for sure. The thing with these podcasts, right, is they have a shelf life. So you give these picks out, and then, if you don't hear it in a day, you're going to miss where to place the bet. So I'm trying to get a podcast that's a bit more, has a bit more of a shelf life to it. So We're probably going to
Of
launch that
course.
in the next 2 or 3 weeks just to gear up for the NFL season and give
Yeah.
out some futures, best division winners, MVPs, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and also catch me over on Instagram and TikTok at Ben's Best Bets.
Ben's
And
Best
we'll
Bets,
just be
baby.
chilling, guys. It's just good vibes. And most of the stuff I put out is 60 seconds or less, quick hitters, and it's all good fun.
That's it. We're going to be releasing some content as well, doing some collaborative posts as well. So very looking forward to being able to work with you and jump on your pod as well. But thank you again for so much for jumping on here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Next week, like we mentioned, we're actually going to be doing some CFL coverage with Griff, one of our very own from Crier Media. So make sure you check that out. But once again, Ben Holmes, thanks so much for jumping on. We'll catch you all next week. Have yourselves a great weekend. Cheers.